Hi, welcome to Straight Talk. I want to welcome all of our new viewers in our new cities and let you know that Straight Talk is committed and dedicated to educating this public all over the country about the opiate epidemic, what the problem is, and what the solutions are, and that there's hope and there's recovery for lots of people. And we try to bring you those stories. And today we have an amazing story. A very brave family is willing to tell their story, their daughter who's here, and the struggles they went through and where they are now. And it's something I think everyone out there can relate to, that knows somebody who has a problem with alcohol or drugs or is going through this opiate epidemic. And we want you to know that there is hope. And joining me to get things rolling is Olivia H. Olivia, thanks for being on the show.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate you being there. Your parents are here with you. They'll be on next to talk about your story, your life.
Yeah.
You know, you started using alcohol or drugs when you were, what, 15 years old?
Yeah.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
And how did that happen? Do you remember why?
So in the beginning of my life, I had a lot of trauma with medical things. I was born at 24 weeks, so I was 1 pound, 6 ounces when I was born. So all through growing up, I spent a lot of time in the hospital and going back and forth to doctor's appointments, which in turn caused me to not really develop a sense of self. And I never really figured out who I was as a person. And I spent years and years trying to fit in and trying to find a place and trying to find my own place. And that just so happened to be doing what everybody else was doing, or what I thought everybody else was doing, which was drinking and having parties and meeting people and trying to be popular. So that's what I did. I started drinking. I picked up a drink. My first drink, I got alcohol poisoning. I ended up in the hospital with a 0.38 alcohol intoxication level. And I woke up the next day at home. And my first thought wasn't, oh my goodness, I shouldn't have done that. My first thought was, when can I do that again? Even though I almost died,
right.
I still thought to myself, that feeling, that one little bit of feeling that I could remember about not having to think about anything, that's what I held on to. And that's what I continued to hold on to throughout my entire addiction, is the idea that I can put something in my body that makes me not have to think about anything and not have to feel anything. And I can not have to worry about myself. I just drink or I use a drug and everything goes away.
So when we talk about, you hear people say self-medicated.
Yeah.
You were
Yeah.
you were there. That's what you were doing. It was making you feel the way you would like to feel, but you couldn't unless you did drugs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And did you kind of work your way up?
Yes. So I started out drinking and smoking weed, and I continued doing that for years. I didn't really get involved into anything very hard, I guess you could say, until about college, when I started using Xanax or Ativan, the generic form of Xanax, and I would mix that with drinking. And mixing benzos and alcohol is extremely dangerous.
Yes.
So I did that for a really long time, and every now and then I would dabble in other things, I guess you could say. If somebody had cocaine at a party, or if somebody had acid somewhere, I would just kind of try everything, because for myself, I wanted to try everything, because one thing wasn't enough. I always needed more. I always needed that next thing, and my tolerance level increased as I continued to use, so I had to add more to make myself not feel anything. And then the last few months of my addiction, actually, my story is kind of different. I was in a IOP kind of situation, and I met a guy there who was a heroin addict, and he sat down one day at his house and he said, here's some heroin, do you want to try it? And my first thought was, sure, why not? What's going to be the problem? What's it going to do? And I tried it, and then I was hooked. Because heroin, as opposed to alcohol and benzos, for me, just totally knocked me out. my tolerance level was high, but because of all of my medical trauma, my ability to be able to process things is a lot faster. So heroin hit me really fast, and I was hooked on that.
Right away, you were
right
hooked.
away.
Yeah.
But then I didn't put down the other things either. So I was just continuously going through a cycle of drinking and then using Ativan and then using heroin, and just continued that cycle until I got to the point where I just couldn't. I didn't recognize myself anymore. I had no emotions. I had no feelings. I was like a shell of a person. And I woke up one day, I called my grandma and I said, I'm an addict and I need to tell mom and dad, because I wanted somebody to hold me accountable, because I knew if I didn't, I wouldn't go. So I told her. I drove to my parents' house, I walked in and I said, I'm an addict and I need help. And the next day I was in detox. And
I mean, that's a pretty brave thing to
Yeah,
do,
yeah.
given what you had gone through for all those years,
Yeah.
to reach that point,
Yeah.
to admit that.
I couldn't do it anymore. My entire life, even before using, was just a blur. I didn't ever develop who I was and what I liked, and I never made friends, like real friends. I was always trying to find somewhere to fit in. And with drugs and alcohol involved in that, I just continued to pull at this coping mechanism that I developed for myself until I truly couldn't anymore.
And then you finally got help.
And then I got help.
And then you started your road.
And that just began my road of recovery, which I do like to say when I talk to people, is that wasn't smooth sailing either.
Yeah.
My addiction wasn't smooth sailing, obviously, and my recovery wasn't either. I had to work extremely hard, even to get to the point that I am now, and I'm not recovered.
Right.
I'm going to continuously be recovering, because for me, the disease of addiction isn't just the disease of addiction. It's also these co-occurring disorders, these mental disorders that I have as well.
That are part of it.
Yeah.
But you've been clean now for?
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2
in July.
years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, we're going to talk to your parents.
Okay.
And then you're going to come back with your mom.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because your story is amazing.
Thanks.
You know, and I know that they're grateful and you're grateful that you're alive.
Yes.
Especially when you got to that heroin, because given what's out there right now, a lot of people are dying.
I know,
so
yeah.
It's very brave of you to tell us your story.
Thank you.
I hope people hear it, appreciate it, and I think they will.
Thanks.
I think they will, and we'll come back and talk some more in a few minutes.
Perfect.
Great. When we come back to Straight Talk, we're going to talk to Olivia's parents, see what it's like to be parents who have a child who's addicted. So stay with us. We're coming right back to Straight Talk.
Who helps a hero? Who tells the story of their scars? The freedom and safety of so many, of us all, is earned by the sacrifices of so few. Who helps a hero? We all do. The Gary Sinise Foundation works to support America's defenders and strengthen their families through entertainment, the construction of smart homes for our wounded heroes, and by inspiring and educating others to also support the veterans within their own communities. We enjoy the benefits of their sacrifice and service each day. Now it's time we serve them. Find out how you can help our heroes at GarySiniseFoundation.org. While we can never do enough to show our gratitude to our nation's defenders, we can always do a little more.
Calls me googly eyes.
You know you're beautiful, right? You know that?
Even you are beautiful. I got bullied for wearing glasses. Share if you're against bullying.
We put it out there, just took off. 3 million people have shared this post. Don't let bullies get you down. I stand with you. Our whole family's wearing glasses. I wear glasses and I'm proud.
I even have the army on my team.
All the kind comments brought my child joy. I don't feel thank you is enough.
That's
Hi, welcome back to Straight Talk. We've just talked with a young woman, Olivia, who's been through her addiction. Amazing stories of how her life was. But what did it do to her parents? And we've got very brave parents who are here. We've got Kim and Tony Hauser. Thank you guys. This is so important for people to hear, you know, about your story from the view of a parent, what it was like once you found out, because I'm sure you didn't find out for a while.
Right.
So tell me a little bit of what was it like on your end to find out that your daughter was drinking and doing drugs and...
Well, when that first time when she was hospitalized, we had trusted her and left the house. And when we came, we got a phone call that there was a party going on and they couldn't wake Olivia up. So that was the first time when she was 15 that we just were made aware that something bad was going on. We had a lot of fights, a lot of arguments, a lot of her not knowing who she was, trying to fit in, trying to find friends, and my life of trying to keep her well, keep her focused, keep her, you know, on track school-wise, education-wise, and everything. That was my main focus. So when we got to the hospital, you know, we were upset, we were angry, and then as a parent, you don't know, is that, you know, it happens to other children? Is it something that, you know, is just, she's drinking because all teenagers drink and, you know, it wasn't going to be a big deal? But as the years went on, she drank more and more, and then when we didn't really know it until she was 21 and she could drink in front of us. Then she was drinking non-stop, like just one right after the other. And that was my first true wake-up call. I said to her,
So that had gone on a while.
It had gone on a while.
That had gone on quite a while.
Yeah.
Quite a while.
And then, Tony, did you know about the drugs? Or
I
was
did
it-
not know about the drugs,
You
but
thought it was just drinking?
Yes.
yeah, I thought it was drinking, and I guess even like when we were growing up, marijuana, weed, you know, whatever they're calling it, the stuff that is the kids are getting today is not the stuff that I knew back in the day and when I was associated with people. And my personal experiences with it, I did it once, I ate a gallon of ice cream, I went to bed. It does nothing for me. I don't have any time for it. But I suspected there was some things going on, but then again, if I could say one thing, that when the parent thinks something's not right, it's usually not right.
Trust your gut.
and that, I remember when we went, we had a place down the shore, we went down the shore, and I saw 3 bottles of orange soda out in the back of her car or one of the cars. I knew something wasn't right. I should have trusted my gut and went back. Hindsight's 20/20 with all this. But with the drugs, I didn't know they were to the extent until she finally came to us. It was very obvious that there was a problem. I suspected it was a little more than just alcohol, but as the parent and just wanting to try to fix it with, you know, if I could just help her do this, if I can just help her do this, with what we know now is enabling. You know, maybe if I just help her do this, or if we just get her to college, we'll get her to that next year, you know, and we just kept putting things under the rug, and looking back, that's not the way to handle that. But I don't want to say I would do things different, but I absolutely would.
So when you talk about enabling, I mean, you were loving her, and you loved her, and you wanted to help her.
In any way we could.
And so sometimes helping isn't always helping.
Right.
And not to make it a real long, drawn out ordeal, but I mean, just some of the things that really hurt you as a parent. You know, you see your child struggle, you see her go through this stuff, and now with all the drugs and everything involved, looking back, I mean, it was even to the point, and I know some of the people that are watching, like, you know, it got to the point where like, well, I've done this for my daughter, I've done this for my son, I've done this. I mean, I don't want to go to a big extreme, but we gave her a house. She gave it away for heroin. So I mean, that's pretty much an extreme, but that in a nutshell, you know, you just, if I just get her this, if I can just help her do this, if I can just get her to this next point, if they don't want help, just that little bit, you can't help them.
So in your hindsight, reaching out for help earlier, talking to people maybe who had been through it, could help guide you. You were kind of just flying on your own. You were just kind of lost.
Hoping she would outgrow it, you know, hoping she would grow up, mature, graduate college, and then this would all be behind her. But I do know that along this journey from 15 to 23, before we found out and she came to us, there was lots of other stuff going on. Mental health issues that we didn't really know anything about. There was just so much we didn't know. And we didn't even understand recovery that well, because when I first came to her with the alcohol addiction and she went to rehab after work, I just thought, well, she's going to go, she's going to do that, and she's going to just stop it. She'll be fixed.
And she'll be fixed.
It'll be fine. You
That's
know, she'll be fixed. So, but it's not.
It's not that
easy.
So if you had it to, so when you look back, you say, okay, or you say to other parents, like you said, so trust your gut.
Yes.
Take action.
Yes.
Don't wait. Don't think you can fix it.
And you know, Mike, you have to let the child stumble. I mean, you have to let them learn that things are not always just easy, because I know, especially nowadays, the parents jump in and do for the children. You know, just again, if I can just get her past this point or him past this point, it'll be fine. If I could look back and just say, you know what, no, you did it, you own it, you sit with it, it's all yours. I can't fix this one.
Right. But that's so hard for a parent.
So
There's
hard.
a fine line.
We say to parents, we call it tough love, we call all these things.
Yes.
But when you see someone you love in trouble, you want to help them and fix it. But in addiction, that's not always the best thing to do.
No. And it's hard when your child is 16, 17, 18. You think, well, you can't just kick them out of the house.
Right.
You know, because you're their parent and you have to take care of them and you have to make sure they're okay, which we were trying to do her whole life with all our health
I mean, you're
issues
trying to be parents.
Yeah.
You're trying to be parents. And like you said, you didn't know addiction. No one taught you that. And that seems to be the lesson.
And there's a fine line between help and enabling. And, you know, things that we've learned, especially as, you know, we're in our recovery as well as our daughter. And I mean, the addict changed, we have to change. If we don't change, things aren't going to change. So we have to change the way we deal with things and the way things happen. You know, you learn things like boundaries and so on and so forth, and how you actually deal with your child. It's almost like when you first get into this, first off, it's devastating. You don't know where to turn. You don't know what to do, but there is groups. There is,
that's what I want to talk about. We'll take a break and I want to talk about it. So hang in there.
Great.
We're going to get Olivia back up here and I want to talk about that helping part and where she is now, because she sounds terrific. So that's a blessing. That's a blessing. When we come back to Straight Talk, we're going to continue to hear from the Hauser family about addiction and recovery. This is very important. Stay with us. We're coming right back to Straight Talk.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes? B, console her?
Don't worry, sweetie. This is gonna happen a lot.
Or C, find her a new boyfriend?
Nice, single boys. That was weird.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
It's a short ride from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Find fun activities to do, like boating and biking, or camping and hiking, plus much more. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org. Don't allow your weight to threaten your health or control your future. Excess weight or obesity can cause emotional and physical health risks. But you can take control. The Your Weight Matters campaign offers free resources and tips to help you measure and understand your weight. Take the Your Weight Matters Challenge. The free toolkit prepares you to speak with a healthcare provider about your weight. Your weight does matter. Take the challenge and take control today.
Hi, welcome back to Straight Talk. We're having an amazing show with the Hauser family, Olivia and Kim and Tony, a family that's been through addiction and now they're working through recovery, that there is hope. And Olivia has now joined us and we got the whole family here. It's wonderful to have all of you here. I know it's a miracle and a blessing. I know it. Olivia, what was it like sitting there listening to your parents talk about what they were going through when you were using drugs?
Well, this isn't the first time I've heard them talk about it, but it always just gives me a better understanding, I think, of like how much I impacted my parents with my using, because sometimes I can forget about that because I focus on myself in my own recovery, that I don't think about how my actions impacted them. Right. And I like listening to what they have to say, but I'm also really proud of them because as I was going through my recovery, they went out and did their own recovery for themselves as parents, dealing with the trauma that was our tumultuous relationship that we had because of my addiction.
And now what do you do for yourself now?
I nanny. Oh, wait, are talking about
both? Yeah,
recovery?
I mean, you're a nanny.
Okay,
You
well,
work,
I nanny.
you work,
so
you got a good job.
I watch two families, two little girls that are toddlers and then a little boy that's a toddler too. So that's super fulfilling. And it's actually ironic because I never thought that I could actually take care of somebody else because I couldn't take care of myself.
That's pretty amazing.
For my recovery though, I go religiously to a counselor once a week, and I also see a psychiatrist for my mental health. I was up in Maryland for recovery for a while in the beginning, and I did NA. When I got back to Pennsylvania, which is where I live now, I discovered a group called Refuge Recovery, which is a Buddhist-based, similar to 12-step recovery program that focuses a big part on meditation. Right. Which for me at this point in my recovery, I will never stop working a program. Yeah. No matter what program it is, I need sober people. I need people.
It's support.
Yes.
And it's support.
Support.
And Mom and Dad, you were also going to groups.
Yep,
for yourself, because again, it's your process too.
We're going to a parent meeting every Monday night. That's pretty much the basis of my recovery. It has helped immensely. You know, it's taught us that, you know, we need to take care of ourselves. If we're not good, the child, the addict, can't be good. So the big message is you need to take care of yourself.
You know, and Kim, you were.
Yeah, it's
running. Helpful to you?
Yes. As soon as she went to Father Martin's, Ashley, we knew we had to get help in understanding addiction and how to make recovery possible for our whole family, because it's a family disease. It affected us all, and all her cousins, aunts, uncles, grandparents. It affects everybody in the family, and it affects everybody differently. So we right away found a parent group on Monday nights run by Karen. It's a newcomers group, but 3 years later we're still in the newcomers group. But we learned so much from everybody at all stages of addiction, and we just took that with us. I have a counselor, Tony got a counselor, and we just all, you know, strive to learn as much as we can about addiction ourselves, recovery, and hope that, you know, we just, it's never ending. It's just a constant.
And it makes you healthy.
It does.
It makes you a healthier family, healthier people. There's nothing wrong with, I tell people all the time about 12-step. It's good. It's a good way to live.
Yeah.
It's a good, honest, loving way to live, regardless.
Right.
So it just sounds like you're on such a great path, even though Olivia's been clean a couple of years.
Yes.
You would think, oh, now we're out of the woods, everything's good. But that's not the way it works.
No.
And that is reiterated every week when we go to our parent meeting, because you hear people whose, could be children, doesn't make any difference who it was, who had been in long-term recovery that relapsed. So it's, you know, it's a everyday process. It's a work in progress for the rest of our lives. It's not going to just be poof, it's fixed tomorrow.
And your message to everyone out there who's got a loved one is like you said, it's
never give up hope.
Just keep working.
Yep.
One of the big things, Mike, that I tell, especially newer people when they come to me and ask me a question, is that one video, I forget what it was, that went viral with the girl that had gone and got anesthesia, had her wisdom teeth taken out, I believe, and she was talking about the Eagles winning or losing the Super Bowl, whatever happened. Everybody thought that was the funniest thing. She was laughing. The Eagles took her and her family to the Super Bowl, so on and so forth. But I say to them, when you tell your child, when I say child, addict or whoever it is, just stop that, don't do that. They have to realize that this is a disease, and that is the drugs talking. It's not the child that we raised until she was of a sound, sober mind. It is incredible to be able to sit down, have a conversation with her, talk to her, understand her, and really, really enjoy it. And over the past 2 years is when I can honestly say I've been able to have a wonderful conversation with my daughter. Just amazing.
Well, all I can say is I can't thank you enough for doing this. You know, I know people are out there watching and going through this, and you're giving them hope. And Olivia, you've just been amazing.
Thanks.
You know, and I just wish you the best, and everyone. I know that you want to help others, and I think you did that tonight. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
so
you.
much.
I just wanted to say one more thing. Recovery for Olivia, it wasn't just 30 days and you're recovered.
It takes, no, it's like you said, it's a process.
Yeah.
It
Recovery
doesn't
is a
end.
process.
And Olivia said that. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I want to thank the Hauser family. I want to thank you for watching Straight Talk. This epidemic of opiates, whether it's alcohol or drugs, pills, or leading up to heroin, people need to get help. And help is out there, and recovery works. We saw it here today. So thank you for watching Straight Talk, and we'll see you next time.